Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Outdoor Adventures Podcast right here on Brownfield Ag News. I'm Brent Barnett. Today's show is brought to you by Beck's Hybrids. At Beck's, we are and will remain farmers at heart. Joining us on the program this week, my good friend Lance Cornelius. He's with Buck Ventures and has been on the podcast before. Lance, what's going on, man? How are you?
Man, it's a beautiful day in Southwest Iowa. Coming off 2 inches of rain we got over the weekend, and it was sunny yesterday, a little cloud cover today, but we are not complaining. High's only gonna the thermometer's only gonna have a 7 on it today, so we like that kind of weather going into September.
Well, and as you and I talk here on a Wednesday, we're getting some rain where I'm at in Marion County, Iowa. It's been raining pretty much all morning, and I know your area had some of that earlier in the week, so we'll take it this time of the year.
Oh my gosh, this is the shot the soybeans need, and if you're a food plot guy and planted some turnips and radishes in the last 30 days, this is what they need to really take off and be be lush going into the 1st of October.
Well, what's been going on this summer? I think the last time you and I talked, we were kind of talking about maybe some late season hunting last year.
Yep.
How did the 2024 season go for you overall?
You know, I had I'll put it this way. I had probably a lower year if you're just scoring antler size, but like my family, both my kids killed great deer. I got to hold on to the moniker of smallest buck shot this season in the household, and does not bother me one bit. Had a lot of fun. It was when it came to fill in late season tags, there just was not a high quantity of mature deer out there, which is it's pretty normal. But usually we've got some intel on 1 or 2 that are just, and then it just goes into playing hide and seek, being in the right place, right time, timing the sunset, to be honest with you. But this year it wasn't, it was tougher.
Yeah. I would say, for me, gosh, I had killed an archery buck in 2021. So I went 22 and 23 without getting a deer and had very minimal encounters. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of discouraging. And so I remember going into last year thinking, man, it's got to flip at some point. I've got to start seeing some deer because I feel like I'm in the right spots in the right areas. And I felt like I had more encounters in bow range with deer and nice bucks last season than probably any other season of my life. It was awesome. Ended up being right place, right time, and ended up getting my first public land buck ever. And that was really cool. Yeah.
And, especially where you hunt over there, forgive me, but lots of oak timber would that be? Yep. Especially if you have an average rain year, I feel like those just have to explode with deer because of the mass that's on the ground. And because in Iowa, the number 2 food source, if deer aren't eating grains, they're eating mass.
Yeah, no doubt about that. You did mention getting rain for food plots. What's your food plot work been like this summer?
So that's been the majority of where my work has gone. My off season, so I can count on one finger the amount of cameras I have out right now, because so much of my time work got super busy early in the summer. We had a really bad wind and hail event come through our area, about a 1/2 mile wide tornado. And in the insurance industry, that's when you don't get to do a lot of fun things and need to focus on helping folks out. So that's where the majority of my time went till about July. I was able to sneak out, get some corn and soybeans planted, but the majority of my food plots this year have been more of a kind of preparing for a new system that I'm going to implement this year, and getting away from just doing straight corn, soybeans, and then green browse, which would be like turnips, radishes, triticale, those sort of things, and focusing more on perennial habitat, forbs, legumes, those sorts of plants that deer want to spend the whole summer in, rather than coming in calorie up at, either first light or last light. So to really focus on getting those areas ready to hopefully make this transition here in late winter, early spring to more of a perennial type food plot. So it's been a lot of time on the tractor. I'll put it that way.
I was going to say, what have you learned throughout this process in making this switch?
Yeah, oh boy. So there's nothing. How do I put it? We have Americanized deer hunting so much in that, like, okay, well, you see one deer shot over a cut cornfield or standing beans or a turnips and radishes, and we have this instinct. It's the same reason we buy camouflage. If we see, our idol on TV that's wearing Sitka Realtree First Light, whatever it is, we have to go buy that. Food plots is the same way. What I argue that if there was more deer getting shot over in CRP, you'd see everybody going out and planting CRP or, like tall grass. So what I found myself falling into was this, okay, I've got to make it look like what I see on television. And it's probably not realistic for our area. And so we took an objective look at the farms we hunt, that we've got permission to do some small things like food plots, maybe cutting away, letting some more sunlight get through in some specific areas of timber to let that stand grow up, get a little thicker. And what we tried to do is we tried to focus on what did the deer not have and how can we provide that? And what in our area, because so much of our ground is croppable acres, we've got very little timber where the deer are spending their time. I mean, right now they're probably a lot of them living in cornfields, but when that corn comes out, cover is a big deal. And so focusing on having areas where they not only have cover, but something they can munch on, that they might want to spend more time in the summer there so that come winter, they don't have to go anywhere. So that the learning process, and this is all hypothesized at this point because I need to back up. I bought my first big kid farm in January. It was a bigger than anything I bought thus far, and it's a little scary. But if you're going to bet on yourself, you might as well bet hard. But this is the first time I've had a large tract that I can make little adjustments with, instead of just having an acre over here in the corner or 2 acres on the side of a CRP field. And so by that, trying to make improvements that isn't going to vastly alter the deer movement, but maybe fine tune it and provide a better area. And so it's getting more native species of broadleaf in there and some native grasses rather than just, hey, I got to find a flat spot that I can put in soybeans, corn, turnips, radishes, and hopefully get to where in the summertime I can spend less time in the tractor preparing these areas because they're already there in a perennial food plot. And like I said, focusing on native species rather than non-native.
Lance Cornelius with us from Buck Ventures. Lance, you mentioned that you purchased a piece of property here this year. Yeah. Any tips that you would pass along to hunters that are trying to make their first property purchase, or they want to get a piece of ground? Like, what's that whole process look like now that you've been through that before? Yeah,
I think the first thing is, boy, you gotta save. Save. I like to joke, 10 years ago when other people were, buying boats and buying 4-wheelers so I'm 41. When my wife and I were first kind of hitting that stride of, hey, I'm not going to say we've arrived, but we were thinking, okay, we're in a better financial position than we've ever been in. Being disciplined, and something you and I agree on greatly, is be very disciplined in your saving. Don't get over your head. And the ideal real estate areas that I'm trying to purchase have some croppable on them, as well as some timber or cover or CRP or something like that. And I like to try to find the less desirable farms. I'm not trying to go by the ones that have the highest CRP rating. I want the ones that maybe only have I said CRP, I meant CSR. I'm looking for, a 55 to 75 CSR farm. And also keep in touch with realtors. I do think that realtors tend to be a very good avenue. I will say this, I did buy this farm through a realtor, happened to be driving by when the sign was getting put up for this farm, and inquired about it and started the bidding, more or less bidding process at that point. But don't be afraid to ask. The first farm I ever bought, I was just asking. You ask 40 people, and the way you ask 40 people to keep you in mind if they ever sell ground. At some point, one of them's gonna think about selling, or they might have an aunt or something along those lines. But the tips I would have: save, and then just be in the game. Understand what the average prices are, so when you think a deal comes up, you're aware that it is a deal or it's not.
Do you see any benefits of having your own property that you can manage and hunt, rather than having having to get permission on other people's farms or hunting on public? Like, is there more peace of mind having your own property?
I said I would have said yes, but this spring, my son and I, so we closed on this property in I think it was early March or it was mid-February. And my son and I pulled up for youth turkey season, and there was a guy already sitting there in his truck. And I went up and I said, "Hey, I'm Lance Cornelius. I'm the owner." And he's like, "No, so-and-so owns this property." I said, "No, we closed in February." And he goes, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, well," and he pulled up Onyx, and Onyx only updates, I think, maybe once every 6 months, and it still had the old property owner's name on it. And I said, so I pulled up. Luckily, our county assessor's website updates every 2 days. I pulled that up and showed it to him, and he was visibly agitated that I didn't want to let somebody that I don't know hunt the ground that I bought specifically to hunt on. I've had several people that he was not the first one to have a similar type interaction with. So the security thing, yeah, I think for me, Brent, it's the legacy piece of it. Like you and I've talked before, like getting kids into this sport, this recreation, however we're going to label it, is such a priority for me. My kids, their friends, and having places that are mine, that I can call the shots on, is great. But I still like my two best spots are spots I don't own. I'm hoping this new spot is going to be my best spot, but until then, I think those relationships with landowners is absolutely crucial. And you don't do it just for the permission; you do it because it's the right thing to do. And so, yeah, the security's nice. Let me tell you what, the payment's not nice. Trust me, I'm very aware when the first of the month rolls around. But it's just you're looking at that legacy. This was a piece of ground that I thought, when my kids are in college and or young adults, that hey, if they're going to invite somebody to come back with them, at Thanksgiving or whenever, hey, you should come see our farm, the place that you should come hunt with us. That sort of thing. That's what makes these acquisitions and makes this investment worth it in my mind.
We got about a minute left here. Any final thoughts heading into this upcoming bow season here in Iowa? We have the opener October 1st, less than a month away. Any final thoughts heading into season, man?
Yeah, I think get your P's and Q's squared away. If you still got a tree stand to hang, get it hung now. Now's the time. If there was ever a time to be just carpet bombing cameras, now would be the time. I do think that one of the best piece of advice I give anybody is if you find a good deer, stay out of there. If you got to go, I sent you a picture of a really good one that we've got roaming around here, and I'm staying out of that spot. The only thing I'm going to go in there for is to hang a tree stand, and I'm going to drive my UTV all the way to the tree, and I'm going to let it run the entire time I'm hanging the tree stand so that deer sees the human delivery vehicle come in and it sees it go out because they're watching, man. Yeah. I think too many guys burn their spot out of sheer excitement. And scout. I mean, this where we're at, we're going to have some cool weather the next 2 weeks. And I've got a handy dandy new, it's not a phone scope. That's embarrassing. I can't remember the brand on it. MagView. Have you heard of MagView?
MagView? Yeah.
Oh, buddy. I've got a spotting scope that MagView sent me a kit to strap my cell phone into and throw it on video. And you want to talk about changing the game on using spotting scope when you could sit on top of a hill and look at deer a half mile away and they don't know you're there. And I'm not burning up my one eye, cramming it down into the spotting scope. Oh, that's so much fun. So that's my plug for making scouting a lot easier when I can just stand there and look at the screen, and I love it. So I'm going to spend your time scouting, get that last 1 or 2 tree stands hung, and just hunker down. Don't burn your spot.
Lance, good luck to you this year. Thanks for coming on the show this week.
You too, Brent.
Lance Cornelius from Buck Ventures joining us here on Brownfield. And as always, we appreciate you being with us here on Brownfield Ag News. I'm Brent Barnett here with the Outdoor Adventures Podcast. Have a great weekend.